they hate. And I know better than to listen to the people who are calling us slaves. I can feel the sunlight shining.
Well, good morning and welcome to episode 846 of the Lots Project Morning Show, where the coffee's strong, the opinions are stronger, and everything is always filter free. I'm Brian, your host, and it's July 14th, 2025. This morning, I'm enjoying a fresh cup of light Guatemalan from foodforestfarms.com because life's too short for shitty coffee. At Food Forest Farms, your beans are roasted by real human hands using a clean Airstream roaster. More than just a customer, your family. Get 10% off with code LOTS10. That's code LOTS10, and shipping is always free. While you're there, check out the C4 Club for even more awesome perks. Today, we've got a packed show. My RV slide out floor repair, dealing with random rain showers all week, a look at Epstein's list, the Epstein List cover up, and a few other odds and ends to wrap up the show. Grab your coffee, smash the like button, and let's get started. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, Pip. How we doing? Pip's helping his dad with a building reno this morning or today. Well, that sounds like a good day to me. Nothing wrong with doing some building reno. It's Monday, guys. Another Monday here. Definitely need some coffee today. It was a long weekend. I'll talk about that in just a minute with the slide repair. Kind of consumed the weekend, and then yesterday recovery basically for me. Not as young as I used to be, and it was a lot of jumping around and bending and crawling and climbing and lifting and all sorts of fun stuff. So yeah, I got a little workout, and but all in all, it was a good day. So let's get to it. Let's with that. Let's start with Bitcoin price. It was nice to wake up this morning. If you follow the Bitcoin price, it's been steadily climbing all week. Some all-time highs throughout the week, and then this morning I woke up to some really nice alerts on the phone that it topped 119, not at 120. 121, 122, and even over 123,000 for just a slight second, and then back down. Right now, we're sitting at $121,799 for one Bitcoin. Not bad. Actually, I have a product should be showing up today. Actually, today and tomorrow. Company sent me out a second one because I requested a product from a company. It's called, and this is their first Bitcoin product, so it's interesting, but company called Cervik, C-E-R Krevik, maybe, C-R-E-V-I-K, over on Amazon. This is all sorts of stuff, but this is their first Bitcoin product. I got two of them, two different styles, but they're the titanium plate seed phrase storage systems, I guess you would call them. Devices is not really, it's a metal plate. It's not really a device, I wouldn't say. But the one that they were going to send out to me is it's based on the BIP32 seed phrase list. What that is when if you've ever created a Bitcoin wallet and you back up your wallet and you get your seed phrase, and it's a series of 12 or 24 words. Hold on one second. Wow, that came out of nowhere. Hopefully that doesn't continue. 12 to 24 words. They seem random. They seem endless. Like you could never get the same ones over and over. What that is, it's called Bitcoin Improvement Protocol 39, I believe. Let me double check this. Yeah, BIP 39, Bitcoin Improvement Protocol number 39. And it's a list of 2,048 words that are used for the seed phrases, and they correlate with Bitcoin address, and there's a formula that generates what words populate that wallet. Well, what this system does is instead of using a metal stamp, bless you, Corey, a metal stamp to I believe it's hallmark or engrave the words of your seed phrase. This actually uses pre-stamped numbers. So there's a line, and since there's 2039, it was at 2039. Just looked at it, 2048 words. The most you're going to have is 4 numbers. So it says word number 1, and you have a little square that has 0 through 9, and then 0 through 9, 0 through 9, 0 through 9, and there's 4 spaces. And so that with the plate, they send a book that has all 2048 words listed. And so when you want to store your seed phrase, you basically go into the book and find your word and see what number word it is on the list. In alphabetical order. The list is readily available anywhere on the internet. You just need to search for it. And you see, oh, it's word number 1452. And you just use a center punch, and you center punch the numbers that correspond with your word. It just is. It seems like a simpler process than using all the letter stamps and trying to get them on the line and get them lined up and legible. Now you're just using a center punch, and all you have to do is look up the numbers when you want to restore a wallet. And I thought it was interesting because I think it's also a little bit of a secondary security measure. Somebody pulls out your seed word phrases, and they're the words. It's pretty obvious what it is, and it's not that it isn't obvious what these numbers are. Probably in the future it'll be even more obvious, but it's really easy to enter the words into a wallet and restore it. This you actually have to translate back into the words to restore it. So maybe it's a little extra layer of security. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it's it's like any padlock, you're just going to keep out the honest people. So I don't know. I'm going to be getting this, like I said, tomorrow. And then I was telling the company I was excited to give it a try, but I was wondering how many came in a pack, because I would also like to probably use one for myself. Create a wallet. I've been meaning to create a new wallet for something anyway, and I was like, oh, I'd like to actually use this product too, but I don't want to make videos of my seed phrase. And they're like, oh, got another one on the way. Then they sent a second one out, so that's exciting. So excited to check that out. It's similar to the stamp seed product that I've used, but I think I like this indexing system better. So guys, give me 1 second and I will be right back. All right, here we go. So that's cool. I'll post the link for that item here in the chat if you're watching the video, and I will also end up getting it into the video notes and the audio notes and on the blog post. So yeah, if you didn't know, there is always a blog post to go with every episode over at thelotsproject.com, along with blog posts about all sorts of different stuff, Bitcoin related, podcasting related, AI related, and then a bunch of product reviews so far, and more to come. I do actually have a list of new blog posts to get done and get up there for products that I've made videos in the last week or so, last couple of weeks, I guess, and just lacking a little behind. I got a little behind with our trip to New York. So that is Bitcoin for the day. Like I said, 121,804 currently. That's nice number. And the group in the Telegram group, Mr. Norton said last night or yesterday afternoon that if we push through 120, 150 is the next checkpoint, probably in September, 200 for Christmas. 150 by September, I don't think is out of the question by any means. even before, really. If I recall, the jumps in the last bull run, once they started, and it was like daily all-time high, all-time high, all-time high. And it was, and if you think about it in terms of how much percentage it was jumping a day, say it was jumping 3% a day or 4% a day, um, it starts going quicker, and gets to 150 quicker, I would say, I guess. So we'll see. We'll see. I wouldn't mind 150 by this weekend. Well, but we'll see. We will see. And 200 by Christmas wouldn't be a bad thing. So go. All right, to the slide. The RV slide. So we have had a leak intermittently, consistently at some points, depending on the rain, depending on how we were parked. We got it to stop for a while, and then we couldn't get it to stop, and then I'm not really sure where it's coming from. It comes down the slide wall and then ended up coming through the window. And we sealed the top of the window, and it helped for a while, and then it didn't help. And it was one of those things where at this point it was just it was what it was. From all the leaks over time, the floor under the window ended up saturated, and then add on top that we had vinyl plank flooring on top of it, and that's where the dogs lay. They come in wet, and it's just it's a spiraling situation. We knew the floor was going bad. We were hoping that it was going to last until we had our cabin done. Obviously it didn't. That's why we were replacing it this weekend. But over the last few weeks, it's gotten really bad to where it started to bow down in the middle. So the dogs would come and lay down, and it would flex a little bit, and then eventually it pulled away from the wall a little bit because it's secured up underneath the wall, and you could see like daylight through the side there. So Corey and I made the decision. Well, Corey made the decision that she was afraid that we were going to fall through the floor, or the dogs were going to fall through the floor. So we were going to replace that sooner rather than later. We weren't going to try to run it out until we could get out of the camper. Well, we pulled up the floor. I mean, I tried to put a foot through it, and it wasn't happening. So I don't know. I don't know if we would ever fallen through, but the fact that it was bowed and you could see outside wasn't a good thing, obviously. So it's good that we got it repaired. So what we did, we prepped earlier in the week. I think it was Thursday night. We went and got the materials. Couldn't really measure. I went to measure the flooring that was there on the outside. It was so expanded and blown apart from being rotten and pulling away from the camper wall that I couldn't really get an accurate measurement on it. In the front of the slide, it was tapered. It was cut at an angle, and so I couldn't really get a measurement there. Best guess, and from watching YouTube videos and things on how to do this repair, we thought 3/4 inch. We weren't going to put anything on the bottom of it. We didn't have a plastic liner. We didn't want to put the money into a plastic liner, and we weren't sure with installing it the way we were going to. So we went with pressure treated 3/4 inch plywood. That's heavy. An 8x4, a 4x8 sheet of pressure treated 3/4 inch plywood is pretty freaking heavy. I'll tell you that. And so we got a couple of those. The slide length was just over 12 feet. I looked all around. There was no getting one that was the full length of the floor. So we were contemplating what to do about that, whether we wanted to cut one sheet, cut them in half, to do half the floor and half the floor and join them in the middle, if we wanted to leave one sheet full and figure out which side that we wanted to put the seam to. And so anyway, we needed 2 sheets of the 3/4 plywood. And then we also wanted something on top of that. We didn't want that to be the surface of the floor. Prior, the floor we had in here when we redid the camper was the vinyl plank click-in flooring. It lasted with the dogs and the chairs and the moving. I think it lasted all of a few months, and then it was starting to chip and pull apart, and it was the right idea. The execution wasn't the best. I think if we had done something like a glue down, would have been better, or I don't even really know what the solution would have been. But we struggled with that. We made it through. It was kind of a mess. The dogs just tear it up. They're really hard on floors too, and then our chair is sliding on it. So we didn't want to put the money back into that, and we were trying to do this really budget friendly because it's hopefully short term, under a year, hopefully under 6 months. I don't know really when we'll get out of here, but we're hoping sooner rather than later. So we didn't want to dump a bunch of money in it. So flooring options, we ended up going with a 1/4 inch sanded plywood, almost like a paneling, and just skin the top of the floor. One, to give it a little more rigidity, and 2, we were going to offset the seams of the flooring with the 1/4 inch, so that the 2 seams didn't line up. So it gave it a little bit more stability there, and then attach the 2 together at some point or somehow. We also decided I wanted to try to affix the seam of the 2 pieces of 3/4 ply together. I got some of the Simpson strap plates and some screws. It was interesting trying to find screws that because I was going to put that underneath on the bottom side of the slide floor, and to try to find screws that weren't longer than 3/4 inch, so they didn't come up through the bottom of the floor, was an interesting thing. They don't make deck screws that are 3/4 inch or 1/2 inch, so had to get creative with that. And that's really all the supplies we got. I still need to seal the ends of the plywood at the bottom of the floor. The drip edge that was on both of them was completely tore up and not really usable again after we took it out, and so wasn't able to put that back in. And hopefully with the pressure treated wood and some sealant on the ends there, we should be good for a while. So the day started. We got started early, and pulled out all the stuff off the slide, obviously, and then pulled out the vinyl plank, and got a look at the floor. It was worse. I don't know. I knew it was bad. Obviously, it was bowing pretty good in the middle. And if you've ever had an RV, or you know how they sit, or the slide sits, it's on a bar. If you don't know, basically the floor rests on a bar on the outside, on the far wall of the slide out. And the only other point of contact it has is the floor of the RV. So you got, it's really hard to explain. You have a little box basically, and the floor spans the whole distance. It's about 4 feet wide. So there's a whole lot of support in the middle, and that's, I think, why it started to bow in the middle. There's nothing holding it up. There's not like floor joists in the middle or anything like that. Basically have one end. Hunter says kind of sounds like a drawer. It is kind of like a drawer. And the fact that it has to be able to come in and out, I think, is the reason why it doesn't have a whole lot of support in the middle. It just can't have things because it's got to slide into the RV room. And so basically tried to stomp some holes in it, try to figure out how to get this out. And the lot of the YouTube videos that I watch, almost all the YouTube videos I watch, basically they took the floor out from the bottom. They supported the slide with basically stilts on the outside, and then unhooked all the slide mechanisms and pulled the mechanisms in, but it left the slide out, and then you could remove the floor from the bottom. Corey had watched a video and she sent it to me that they did it from the inside. And I like that idea better. I didn't really know if we were going to be able to lift the floor up. I knew we could carry it. Obviously, we got it out of the store, we got it into the truck, we got it out of the truck. I knew we'd be able to carry it in and lay it down. I didn't know if we would be able to lay it down and then pick it up and secure it on the underneath and hold it while we fastened it in at some point, or even a little bit. So I was trying to do it from the inside. So we were messing around, really had no idea. Actually, multiple of the videos that I watched, and they were RV techs saying that even within the same model RV, they're done different. These guys, they replace floors all the time, and they're like, yeah, even RV, the same make and model, the floor will be done different. So I'm like, oh, great. Well, I have never done one, so I guess I'm in the same boat as them. At least, I guess at least they've seen a few different styles and stuff. Chris Dixon says it just needs to be stiff enough to slide in and out. Yeah, I mean, you could always just tape a popsicle stick to it if it's not. Good morning to you, sir. Thanks for stopping in. And so it was basically figure out how it's attached, detach it, remove it, and then hopefully do it back in reverse to get the new floor in. So hoping that we didn't have to remove the slide mechanisms, I started to cut some pieces out, used a circular saw to cut open a hole, and started inspecting things. We pulled our skirting down, and it was basically a haven for spiders underneath the slide. I mean, it's the perfect conditions for them underneath there. So that was a battle to start. It was spider spray. Usually we let the spiders live. They take care of the bugs, and we're okay with them as long as they do their thing and leave us alone. But this was kind of we wanted to get in there and do this, and I didn't want to be crawling around with the spiders. So we got the spider spray and went to town. That didn't get rid of the webs or the egg sacs and the babies and all of that. So it was a struggle with the spiders through the whole project. I think I came out with a few bites here and there. More freaked out, and things crawling on me was more the case when I would crawl under there. And so what basically there were two arms underneath that pull the slide in and out. They're geared arm. They have little teeth, and the gears ride in and out. The arms ride in and out on a couple of gears, and then it's attached to a long bar across. And the bar has huge bolts. I think it was like 10 large bolts went up through the bar, through the floor, and into the wall. The bottom piece of wood of the wall. And so I started cutting it out. I cut out a big chunk, and then I'm looking to decide how to drop the bar so we could get the floor out from between the bar that's holding it with the big bolts through it and the bottom piece of the wall frame. We needed to release, I guess, the wood floor. And as I'm looking at the brackets that are holding this bar to the arms that slide it in and out, they're slotted, they're screwed, there's bolts, but the holes are slotted, so it could move both vertically and horizontally if I loosen the bolts. So loosen up the bolts, trying to bang the floor down It's not going anywhere. We had the floor kind of jacked up with a couple bottle jacks and some blocks, and realized that it wasn't going to work. We were holding it up, so we had to stop and kind of regroup. And I went with the stilts method that I had seen on the videos. Basically took 2x4s, took screws out of the trim piece along the front side of the slide, or the furthest outside wall of the slide, and drilled holes through the 2x4 that lined up with the screw holes, and took long screws and ran them in, and basically made 2 legs for the outside of the slide. At that point, we were able to loosen the bolts, and then there were 2 jack screws underneath the brackets that held this big bar that held everything together. I didn't notice those at first, and so I'm inside. I loosened all the bolts, and I'm banging on this thing with a 3-pounder. I'm kind of jumping on it, and it's not going anywhere. And I'm like, what the fuck? How am I going to get this thing out? I don't understand why it's stuck. I don't understand why it's not moving. And then I stopped, and I just sat there for a second, and all of a sudden I see this jack screws underneath the bottom. And I was like, oh, that might make a difference. Grab the impact, back the jack screws out, tap the floor, and it just dropped down a few inches, which was great. At that point, we're looking at it. I cut it up enough to drop it out of the bottom of the slide, and the floor was gone. It was basically, it took about twice as long as it should have if I knew what I was doing. If I had to do it again, it would have been a really quick job. And so at this point, it's probably, pushing 7, 8, 9 o'clock. I don't really know what time. I didn't keep track during the day or during the project. The whole project ended up taking us till about 3 o'clock, and that was including cleanup and everything. But it was starting to get warm, and we were concerned about that, how to keep it cool in the RV with a big hole in the floor. We had the air conditioner running. We had the dogs in the back bedroom with the door shut so that they couldn't fall through the hole or get in our way. And now we have a huge hole in the floor. So had to kind of push through and go quickly. Made some measurements, cut the new floor, and slid in the 3/4. We were able to slide that in pretty easy. Corey and I carried it in. It was, the first piece was a little heavy and a little awkward to get around the corner, but we were able to bring it in from the inside and lay it down there, and then rest it right where it needed to be on the plate, or on the bar that we had unscrewed the other one from, and then measured and cut the second piece to fit in. Actually cut it right the first time. It fit in really nice and square and flush to the other piece. Laid that one in there, and basically ran the jack screws up and secured it to the bottom. Made sure everything was square where we wanted it and lined up. Screwed in the ends to the bottom frame of the walls, and then secured with the huge bolts. Ran that up through the new floor and into the bottom of the outside wall. And then we had our 3/4 floor in, which was the point we wanted to get to, so the camper was sealed up. The air was so humid, and the change with the hole in the floor, our air conditioner was like sweating. It had water like dripping off it. Normally when the air conditioner would be running inside, it would be dehumidifying the air inside the camper. This is just pulling moist, humid air from outside in, and that cold section of the air conditioner was just like accumulating water. As soon as we got the floor in, everything went back to normal. It started cooling down, and it was great. We also cut the 1/4-inch sanded ply and got that laid out. We were going to glue it down, and then I realized, the dogs might mess it up. It might get wet from them. I wasn't sure if we wanted to finish it, how we were going to do it, and knowing that we might have to pull that out sooner rather than later, because it isn't the toughest material in the world. I just decided to use finish nailer and tack it down securely with a shit ton of finish nails, but I'd be able to pry it up if I needed to take it out without ruining the floor underneath it. So got that done, got the plates put up underneath it and secured. The floor is pretty solid. It does have some give to it where that seam is. I might end up securing that a little bit more. I don't know. It is underneath my chair where I sit on the slide actually straddles that. So we don't really have any direct pressure right on the seam. The weight is actually spread in a little bit. So it doesn't seem that bad. We do have a ton of weight. I mean, we got the 2 dogs and 2 adults that are sitting in that slide at one time quite often. I mean, a lot of the time it's all of us that they're sitting in there, so it can be quite a bit of weight. It's done. Like I said, it took about 9 hours. I think if we had known what we were doing and had done it before, we could probably got it done in half that time. But it wasn't too bad of a project. If you're thinking that you have to replace their slide floor, it's not an impossible task by any means. If we got it done that quickly and with the limited tools that we have and never having done it before, it wouldn't be challenging for somebody that's got a fair amount of skill. So we're happy that's done. The leak, I think we might have actually helped the leak with messing around. I think when I put the jack screws back up in the slide, it might have lifted it up a little bit more and tilted it to the right direction. We did get some rain yesterday, quite a bit of it, all at once, and the window didn't leak. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, it was a good project. A couple injuries, nothing too serious. Let's see, I got a few cuts on my fingers. Got Band-Aids still. I did zip my hand off. I did zip my finger a little bit with an angle grinder. Stupid, not paying attention, trying to rush through some stuff. Basically, I had to zip some screws off, and I turned the angle grinder off, and I grabbed it with my other hand, and I was going to set it down, and it was luckily it was turning off, and just not watching where my hands were going. I didn't have gloves on, which is another mistake, and I nicked my finger. It cauterized it right away, which was nice. It was just this little cut, a little gouge out of my finger, and I looked at it and I was like, oh man, that's gonna bleed like a son of a bitch. And I looked at it and I waited and it didn't bleed, and I realized that blade was hot enough that it just cauterized the thing. So keeping an eye on that and letting that heal up. Another slight injury was I was putting back the paneling that we had pulled away to kind of inspect some stuff, and I was banging it with the palm of my hand to put it in, and I was use a finish nailer to tack it up. And because I had been going inside to outside and outside to inside so often, it was so bright outside, and when we got the floor in, it was dark inside. I didn't see the previous nails were all still sticking in the paneling. And when I went to bang one piece of it against the wall, landed right on a nail, kind of punctured into my hand. These are just normal things for me to get these little injuries while I work, and it's nothing I haven't gone through before. A little bit of electrical shock. Had the air conditioning on. We had to disconnect some electrical that went through the floor of the camper to get the floor out, and then rerun it and hook it up after the fact. And one of them was a 120 volt line to a couple of the outlets, and I didn't want to shut the 120 volt down because we would have had to turn the air conditioner off, and I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do it to the dogs. The camper gets really hot really fast and takes a lot of time to cool back down, and so I didn't want to do that. And the way it was wired, I was going to have to turn that off to do this properly and safely. I've definitely connected a lot of wires and worked with a lot of wires that were hot in a lot of maintenance jobs along the lines, and done that. I'm comfortable with it. I've been hit by 120 volt more times than I can count. It really doesn't. It is what it is. And I took a couple zaps while I was putting that back together. Basically because I didn't have gloves on, and I could have prevented all of the injuries I had if I had just worn gloves. I don't know why I didn't have gloves on, but yeah, pliers slipped a little bit. Might have touched some wires that it really shouldn't have. With my hands on some of the parts of the pliers that they shouldn't have been on, not the insulated handles, the metal parts of the pliers, and yeah, little zap. But all in all, it wasn't that bad. And interesting part was that Corey, after we got done, we were sitting talking about how things went, and I was like, man, can you imagine if like that angle grinder had been on, I'd like cut my finger off, and you would have had to take me to the emergency room, and we would have had a open floor in the camper. What that would have been a shit show. I said, oh man, it would have been getting hot. The dogs would have had been locked up in your room, and God knows how long I would have had to been in the emergency room if I cut my finger off, and this and that. And she goes, oh, I was making plans for that. I was like, wait, you didn't even know that I did that until you came back inside. She goes, oh no, when we started the project, I was figuring out how I was going to take you to the hospital if I needed to, if the floor was open and we had to lock the dogs up and try to keep them cool. I was like, oh, thanks for the confidence. Thanks a lot. You're actually planning on me getting hurt enough you were gonna have to take me to the hospital. I mean, thanks for being prepared and all, but thanks for the confidence there. I guess she's done a lot of work with me. She's seen the things that can happen real quick when I'm doing projects. I mean, she did save me when we were back on the farm when I did slice off a significant piece of my thumb with a table saw. We didn't end up going to the hospital for that one. I don't know if she would have been comfortable if I cut my whole finger off. This was just kind of the edge of it when she took care of me there. So I guess it's good to be prepared, but the lack of confidence is disturbing, I guess, a little bit. So that all in all, I'm happy that this project's done. It looks nice. The dogs immediately messed it up. I mean, not messed it up, but immediately went and laid on it, got their dirty faces on it, drooled on it. Yeah, it is what it is. He's out there right now with his big old floppy lips. Norman's got his big floppy lips laying on it and making it all moist, and hopefully, like I said, it lasts till we can move on to the cabin floor. But that was that. Chris Dixon says that's love. my one true love, and I know she's my true love because she prepares on the best way to get me to the emergency room if I cut my finger off or injure myself bad enough in in an accident that will make it to the hospital. Good morning, Canadian Farmstead. How we doing? How you like that Bitcoin price this morning? Sell. Let's go on. There is no Epstein list, I guess. We kind of all knew that. I hope. I didn't think since the beginning of this that there was actually a physical list. Like the dude had. I didn't think that the dude had a a piece of paper with all the names of all the people that he was blackmailing, and that's really what I think was going on here. We talked about it a long time ago on this show, actually, in relation to Sean Combs, P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, when he, even before he was arrested, I talked about it was when his one of his bodyguards or somebody that was asked to film one of his parties came out with accusations, and it was kind of the first little trickle of a snowball of the P. Diddy stuff. We talked about it here. You can search in the past episodes. I think the episode title might have been "Diddy Do It?" DIDDY, Diddy Do It, or something like that. But we talked about in that show sexual blackmail all the way back to like Meyer Lansky and the mob and things. This is like a known technique to get the upper hand with people. And it was probably what was going on a little bit with P. Diddy. Epstein obviously had dirt on a lot of people. He was trafficking young women. That's why he was in jail. That's why Giselle Maxwell's in jail. They obviously had Canadian Farm says J. Edna Hoover. That was in the whole Meyer Lansky. Was Hoover had him by the short hairs and the FBI and all sorts of stuff. Look it up. You can go back and listen to that episode. You can easily find information about it. Sexual blackmail is definitely a thing. Epstein ran in circles that he had dirt on some folks. Let's say, whether he had a list of it or not, somebody had evidence of what the man did, or he wouldn't have been in jail. Somebody had evidence of what Giselle Maxwell did as a co-conspirator there, or she wouldn't be in jail still. Canadian Farm says poor Jeff, obviously falsely accused. Well, and that's basically it's such a joke as they come out and say there's no client list, there's no people to expose, there's no this, no that. Now that they're basically saying they did this stuff to these women, and there was nobody that was there was no client. They were providing young women to nobody. And whether it was famous people, powerful people, rich people, or just the guy, the John down on the corner, release somebody's name or some proof that this actually happened. You didn't think it was ever going to happen. It's been like that urban legend or Sasquatch that they're looking for, or Chupacabra or something. I posted a comment on Facebook at some point that was like the administration right now seems like a 4-year-old that's caught in a lie, and they just make more outlandish statements to kind of distract you from the fact of the original lie. None of it adds up. And now Trump is he's all butthurt about his administration, isn't happy with him. He's basically Canadian Farm says Prince Andrew paid off that young woman for no reason. Exactly. And now it sounds like there's some of the victims of old Epstein Island are starting to come out and talk about who they were with, and I don't know if that's really good for your health. You might end up suiciding yourself, unaliving yourself, or whatever you want to call it. Some of these people that you might be talking about might might not appreciate that so much and are the type of people that would make you want to not be able to talk about them anymore. Killery. But yeah, it's never gonna happen. The people aren't going to. It's basically the same as Congress will never. They'll never vote for term limits. They'll never vote for a decrease in pay. They're not going to. They're not. You're not going to incriminate yourself. You're not going to go. Yep. All these people, Trump, that hung out with Jeffrey Epstein and more than likely spent time on his island with these young girls or wherever he partook in these activities. Who's gonna come out and say, yeah, that was me. I'm on the list. But from the beginning, it's always been, we're going to expose this list. We're going to expose the corruption. And now the tune changes. And to watch Trump backpedal and see the tweets that he's putting out or whatever the his social network is that he's putting out, was it Truth Social or something? I have somebody that forwards all his stuff into a couple feeds that I watch. So it's been interesting to read his shit. He's something. He's something. Canadian pharmacist is getting the Boeing whistleblower treatment. That story went away real quick too, didn't it? But anyway, there is no Epstein list. There was no crimes. And then in the next breath, Bondi says that it's all child porn that they have, and no one's going to see it. Who is the porn with, Ms. Bondi? Is it two minors together? Were they just filming them and watching them, or is there child porn because someone is engaging in sexual acts with a young underage woman that maybe the public would want to know who these people are and if they're being held accountable? Or was it only Jeffrey Epstein himself? He was banging all these girls and he wasn't providing them for anybody. Maybe it was just Giselle Maxwell was providing young women for Jeffrey Epstein, and the dude just had a prescription for Viagra, and he was just banging away all the time. Maybe that was the case. We all have been led down the wrong path, and that's why Mr. Epstein took his own life in his jail cell. And what was the deal with that video being released? What a nightmare. The whole thing is just a nightmare. So anyway, Jeffrey Epstein definitely hung himself in a jail cell. I can't even say it right. And 9/11 was an inside job. So anyway, let's move on. A little update from Delinquent Scully. Been working out in the food forest quite a bit when we haven't been getting random rain showers. Oh, by the way, while we were doing the slide, the day before the slide, it had been 7 days in a row since we got back from our trip to New York that it had randomly downpoured at some point during the day. I'm not talking about little sprinkles. I'm talking about like gully washer downpours. No rain in the forecast, crystal blue skies, and out of nowhere, we were getting huge downpours for anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes. And then it would be sunny again. 7 days in a row, we had at least one of these things. And then the day we did the slide, we didn't have any. I was like, holy shit. It didn't happen. The perfect day. We didn't have any downpours because we had all sorts of tools and stuff out while we were working, materials. And then the counter started again yesterday. We got a downpour. There was 0 chance of rain in the forecast. At least all the other days, there was like a 10% chance, 20% chance at different times of the day. Yesterday, there was 0% chance of rain for the whole day. and ended up getting a downpour. So the counter starts again. I've been keeping track. If we hadn't have gone to New York, I'm guessing we would have been upwards into the high teens of days in a row for rain, because I knew we had at least a week before we left, and I have a feeling that it rained while we were gone every day, and it would have been going on, going into almost 3 weeks. But we got up to 7. Yesterday it did not, or yesterday it did. Saturday it didn't, so we're at 1, and we'll see if it rains today, and if we can get back to 2 days in a row. It sounds like Canadian Farmstead and Rewilder Life up in Michigan, they need a ton of rain. We're getting the rain, and it's just coming so fast and so hard that it's not very helpful for like watering crops or anything. But I've been out at Delinquent Scully trying to keep up with all this rain, and then the hot sun, the hot days and the sun, the vegetation is just going crazy. The food forest is, I'm managing with it. That's pulling things by hand and pulling unwanted plants by hand. The rest of Delinquent Scully have been using a weed eater, actually burned through a second weed eater head since we've been doing that. Just keeping up with things with the growth has been a challenge this summer. Last summer it was a lot easier. I think we actually, Corey and I were talking about it. I think when her parents came out in July, we had actually gone 6 weeks without rain, with none, zero, not a shower for 6 weeks. And now we're going on, weeks on end with downpours a day. So keeping up with the growth has been a challenge for sure. But got down in the food forest and did some inspecting, checking on the plants, checking on the trees. We had, it looked like a deer possibly got into one of the plum trees. And I'm going to try to get this fly that's on the screen real quick. Oh, I missed. Sorry, guys. We had it look like a deer got maybe the lower branches of one of the trees. Hopefully it's established enough, and the top branches were still good. Didn't look like the deer got into any of the other trees so far, thankfully. But I was seeing a lot of holes and things in the leaves of some of them, and did some inspection and found that we had Japanese beetle problems. Was able to remove those. Also got some Japanese beetle traps to get up around the perimeter of the food forest. And then I've started going through and identifying plants. I'm not the best at identifying Tennessee native plants, but I am starting to learn. I know some things that are coming in that we really like. I found a bunch of beautyberry bushes, American beautyberry. If you don't know, it has a really cool purple berry that pops up in the early or late summer, early fall. The leaves are actually a natural bug repellent, and you can use it to make tincture or salve and things like that, to make some bug repellents. You can add some other things to it to make it a little more potent, or you can actually just take the leaves and crush the leaves and rub them on your skin in the field and use that as bug repellent. Where we cleared a bunch of stuff, we have several different locations where I got bushes of that coming up, which is really cool. We'll be able to transplant some of those to different places and possibly do some saleable planters with the beautyberry bushes in them, which is when the time is right to dig those. Right now is not the right time. Also, finding tons and tons of the purple passion vine with lots of fruit on them, which is exciting because I would like to harvest the fruit and make planters with trellises with started passion fruit, purple passion fruit vine, purple passion flower vine. I don't even know. Yeah, that plant started in planters with trellises, but got to wait till the fruit ripens and then harvest them. And there's a process to saving the seeds and getting them started. Hopefully do that this fall. But finding lots of fruit hidden in the overgrowth where we cleared and then never planted anything for the food forest. So we got a lot of really cool things coming in over there. And then my MO with really thinning out the food forest and getting rid of the stuff we don't like. Basically, I look around, I walk around, and I find. All right, Chris Dixon, have a great day. I will talk to you later. I walk around the food forest and I find a plant that I see a lot of, and normally that I don't know. Actually, I'll do one or two of them, and I'll take a picture of them. I'll take pictures of the leaves. I'll take a picture of whatever I can identifier wise. Since we don't have internet out there, then I come home, use my plant ID app. I try to identify one or two plants and decide, and I talk to Mr. Brown, Kerry Brown from Strong Roots Resources, who's consulting on the food forest. And I talked to him and said, hey, do we want this plant? Do we not want this plant? And then I go out and I basically focus on one plant, getting rid of it in the whole food forest for the day. And then anything that I've already identified that I've learned and figured out, I will keep up with those. So last week's target was burnweed, American burnweed. This plant comes in freshly cleared soils, usually after forest fires or clear burns. It's obvious why it showed up when we cleared out the food forest to do the planting, but it came in really thick while we were away. The stuff grows up to like 4 feet tall. But basically it pulls out super easy. Its intention, its species, or its as a species, its purpose is to stabilize the soil. The roots are really thin, are really shallow, and not very long. They're very easy to pull out. And basically pull out and drop for cover, ground cover where we need it. Otherwise, pull it out and pile it up for compostables. But there's some medicinal uses for it. I'm not set up right now to do any drying or anything like that. But I did harvest a bunch. I talked to Jamie Ping, off-grid Ping there down at the end of the road, and brought him a bunch. But basically, the target this week and the food forest was pulling out all the American burnweed. And I did. I think I got most of it. And we'll continue that process. Every time I go out, I try to identify another plant and decide if we want to keep that in the system or not. So there's a lot of beneficial stuff coming in. And then there's also a lot of stuff we just want to get rid of. So we will continue on that project. New product videos out last week, and I think the last one comes out today. A couple of different hammers that I mentioned in the Telegram group. A couple of 20-ounce hammers by Arrow, one general purpose, one framing. Then a couple of different drill bit sets. One was an indexed. They're cobalt drill bits. Basically great for use for anything up and including some metals. Nice and sharp. I tested them out. I used them actually on the slide project and for a few other things. They're really nice drill bits, and they come in an indexed little case, and then also a set of 5 step drill bits, unibits, or there's multiple names for them that come in a little case. Did some bone conducting headphones. Had never used those before. The kind that they sit open ear, so they sit on the side of your head, and basically the music or sound is conducted through your cheekbones. They're interesting. I like them so far. I don't know long term if it's something I will end up using, but for right now, they're not bad. One thing is you can't clearly hear it, but if you're sitting across the room, you can hear it coming out of the headphones. So it's basically something you're going to want to use when you're by yourself, so you're not bothering other people around you. Metal detector, the metal detector I've been using for a while and really like. It was basically 50% off, under $70 through Prime days, and I don't know right now what the price is at, but that video I believe releases today. Nice little product, a 10-inch metal detector. It's waterproof and adjustable length, so you could use it for a kid up into an adult, and the price is right for beginners. So a couple of hammers, couple of sets of drill bits, headphones, metal detector. Like I said, I got that crypto seed phrase storage system coming. I got a one of those belt clip fans you might have seen online on TikTok or Facebook that clips on your belt and then blows the air up under your shirt for working out in the heat or maybe hiking or things like that. Got that at the end of last week, so I'm doing some testing on that. So far, I really like it. I think that's going to be a quality product. And a few other things I think I got on the way. So excited to do more videos and get going with that. So, all right. Well, we're up in an hour. My list is done. One thing you can do to help support the show is you can go to thelotsproject.com and click on that Amazon banner on the homepage, whether you're getting ready to shop on Amazon, or you can check out product reviews over there on the site. And see something there you like and click the affiliate links. That gets us a little commission. Or with the price of Bitcoin going up, if you're seeing your wallet value increase and you're a little uncomfortable holding that in your software wallet, you should think about checking out the Blockstream Jade or Jade Plus. You can get 10% off using discount code LOTS, the LOTS Project, over at Blockstream. Or you can just click the link that I'm putting in the comments, and will be in the video notes, the audio notes, and everywhere. Also, some reviews of that over at thelotsproject.com. But get yourself a Jade or Jade Plus. You need help with them or anything else Bitcoin, reach out to me, and I can help you with that. Guys, I hope you have a great week. It should be a productive week here. Hopefully finally getting a hold of the builder. And getting moving with our cabin project and recording videos, getting a bunch of work done out at Delinquent Scully. Have a good one, guys. I hope you get everything done that you need to and have a productive week too. You can always catch up with us during the week in the Telegram group at t.me/lotschat. That's t.me/lotschat. Come join us and have some fun over there. Have a great week, guys, and we will catch up with you next Monday.
Long as night